Hello. Today I'm going to read a little bit from the book, The Sermon on the Mount, The Key to Success in Life by Emmet Fox. Here is the book. This is a very, very interesting book, and the basic premise is that it's a spiritual book, not a religious book. The basic premise is that God is always with us, and we can depend on God and believe in God and trust God to help us, if, of course, we do our part. Anyway, so Emmet Fox was a divine science and unity preacher back in the 1900s. He died in 1951. I forget exactly when he was born. The book was written in 1934. And if I find that a little bit later, I will mention it. Anyway, I wanted to get to the part where he talks about condemnation and judging others. But I do want to tell you, first off, that the Sermon on the Mount is very popular in Alcoholics Anonymous. The founders, Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob, went to see Emmet Fox preach his sermons in New York. Excuse me. Several times, and took members of AA with them. Because, you know, AA is a spiritual-based program. Not religious, but spiritual. Faith in a higher power. And whether that higher power be your dead grandma. You know, if you have a problem with God, then believe that then talk to your dead grandma or someone on the other side who loved you and that you know believes in you and wants the best for you. If that will help you, then use that. That's what I tell my clients. And my name is Martha Burrich, and I am a mindset empowerment coach. I help women over 40 to stop their limiting beliefs, reduce those limiting beliefs, so that they can have peace of mind and happiness, and start going after the things they always really wanted, but were held back by responsibilities, fears, social anxieties. Alrighty, let's talk some more about judgment and why it isn't good. Okay, so Emmet Fox says on page 36, because in deed and in truth we are all one, component parts of the living garment of God. You yourself will ultimately receive the same treatment that you mete out to others. You will receive the same merciful help in your own hour of need from those who are farther along the path than you are. Above all, it is true that in freeing others from the weight of your condemnation, you make it possible to absolve yourself from self-condemnation. And you know, some people consider self-condemnation and condemnation of others, those are both very, very big sins because they're so unproductive. To condemn yourself, how do you move forward from that? You know, I take Alcoholics Anonymous meetings into the local county jail, and I always tell the women, look, you can't do anything. Don't beat yourself up about yesterday. Be responsible for what you did. If you owe money, pay it back. If you did something to hurt someone, apologize and do what you can to make restitution. But do not, you were dealing with whatever limitations, knowledge that you had at the time. And to beat yourself up makes you unproductive. What we need to do is look at what we did and decide what needs to happen so I won't do that again. And usually a faith in God and a belief that there is a God behind us. Because most of us, when we do things that we aren't, do things that cause us concern, it's because we don't believe in God, and we don't believe that God is with us and will help us. Alrighty, and also I want you to know what the word scorn, you know, when you judge people, you're basically meting out scorn, which means contempt. And contempt is seeing someone as worthless or despicable. And despicable means deserving hatred. So whenever you judge another, you're determining what their behavior should be by your standards. So it's best to really mind your own business and to change yourself. If you want to change the world, look in the mirror and start with yourself. Many people will come out and say, oh, this needs to be changed in the world, and that needs to be changed in the world. Then they'll go home, their bed's not made, the dishes aren't washed, their children aren't cared for. So we need to look at ourselves first before we decide to change others, and before we can determine what others need. Alrighty, so we live in God's world, but we do not in the least know it as it is. Heaven lies all about us. It is not a distant locality, far off in the skies, but all around us now. But because we are lacking in spiritual perception, we are unable to recognize it. That is to say, we are unable to experience it, and therefore, so far as we are concerned, we may be said to be shut out of heaven. Heaven is the religious name for the presence of God. You know, there's a distinction between religion and spirituality. You know, in AA, we practice spirituality, and it goes like this. Religion is sitting in church thinking of fishing. Spirituality is fishing, thinking of God. And that is a very big distinction. And I remember sitting in church thinking of anything but God, that's for certain. But now I talk to God every day, and I listen. I listen for the answers. And the answers can be found if you're quiet and you stop all that excess noise around you and think. And think positive. Start seeing the good in people. You know, most people are so... Loneliness is an epidemic now. But most people need encouragement. They don't need to be told what's wrong with them. We hear what's wrong with us all the time. From the time we're very little. We get enough of that in school. Nothing's right about us in school, it seems. So, and at work, our faults are always pointed out to us, rather than the pats on the back. How rare are those? So you be the person who meets out those pats on the back. See the good in people. Smile at people. All right. We are very much in the position of a colorblind man in a beautiful flower garden. All around him are glorious colors, but he is quite unaware of them and sees only blacks, whites, and grays. If we suppose him to be also devoid of the sense of smell, we shall see what a very small part of the glory of the garden exists for him. Yet it is all there, if he could but sense it. And Emmet Fox is speaking to us right there. We're so busy looking at what's wrong, we fail to see the beauty in all the things that are so right in this beautiful world that we live in. To see God is to apprehend truth as it really is. And this is infinite freedom and perfect bliss. All right, I think that's enough for today. It's 9 minutes into this. So, hopefully, maybe I'll get back to this again tomorrow. I'll put this up soon. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate you being here. And remember, think of positive things and think of, you know, when you're thinking of criticizing, keep your mouth shut for a few minutes. And think, is that going to help anyone? Is it going to help your relationship with that person? Is it really necessary for you to say that thing to that person, even to yourself? Rather than criticize, why don't you simply say, you know what, I don't like how I do that. I wonder how I could do that better. How I could make that better in my life. Alrighty. Again, this is Martha Burrich, Empowerment Coach, and we will talk again soon. Thanks. Bye.